Hello everybody and welcome back to another walkthrough. Today we're going to be doing BoardLight from HackTheBox. First thing we're going to do is of course run our Nmap scan, Nmap-sc for default scripts, sv for default for enumerating versions, then our IP of 10.10.11.11. You can output this to a file called nmap.txt. I've already done this. It could take some time, but it's not that long this time. We only got two ports open. We have SSH and HTTP. Doesn't give us a redirect. Typically for HackTheBox machines, it'll give you a redirect, but it says this site doesn't have a title, so we don't have to add anything to our Etsy host file yet. But I think a next solid step for us is just going to be to go to this website and see what is cooking. All right. Welcome to BoardLight. BoardLight's a cybersecurity consulting firm, cutting edge security, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So we're just going to look and do some manual enumeration. I guess while we're here, we can also run a Gobuster. Running enumeration in the background is always a good idea. So let's run a Gobuster and word list user share word list derb. Like use big.txt. What this will do is it's just going to search for directories. So a directory is essentially just slash, like if there's an admin page, a login page. That's what the Gobuster command is going to do for us here. But for now, we can just manually enumerate, just look for anything that sticks out to us. We're going to be looking for essentially anything that we can interact with. Every single web vulnerability is going to come through something that the user can interact with for the most part. So that's a good start. And if you can see, it might be a little small, but in the bottom left, when I hover over like a button or a like any of these navigation tabs, you can see where the pages will lead to. So that is a sign of our interactivity. If it's just going to be a static PHP page or an HTML page, then we may not have much to go off of. So this contact page could do something. Test 313 test@gmail.com, and then we can run maybe some XSS. Might as well try it. But I don't think that this does anything. I think it's just completely static. However, if we scroll down on this contact page, we do see all rights reserved by board.htb, and that is the domain we were initially expecting when doing the Nmap scan. Same thing with this email. Essentially just leaking the domain that is actually running on this page. So to add that, we can go sudo nano etsy hosts. I already created a little section here. We add our IP 10.10.11.11 and board.htb. Now if we refresh this page, oops, or we can just navigate to board.htb, and we can see we're back in the same spot. This is important because we can now further enumerate this website. So we can run two scans here, or two enumerations. We can do another directory scan, and it's unlikely we'll get something, but it's worth it to try since it's a different domain, so DNS may be acting a little funny. So we can just run that same Gobuster command we just did, but with board.htb. And we can also scan for subdirectories. So if I remember this command, ffuf hdb gtp, it's going to be our domain, so board.htb. And then our word lists, user share word lists, do derb, then subdomains top 1 million, and then -h for host, and then, or these are headers, sorry. So host, and it's going to be fuzz. So we're going to fuzz subdirectories. So we're going to put fuzz dot board.htb. And I think that should be good. That's a lot of text. Hold on. Let's try that again. I'm going to zoom out a little bit as well. We're going to do -AC for, I think it's auto calibrate. Essentially, it was just catching every single thing on the word list, and we do not want that. We just want it to catch only things that actually exist. And we see we have crm.board.htb. So let's navigate, or we have to add that to our etchohost file. So if you do crm.board.htb, we see you're going to run into this problem if you don't add it to the etchohost file. We're having trouble finding that site. Okay, so we can, and you saw in our Gobuster, this didn't result to anything. Let's go back to our etchohosts, and we can add crm.board.htb. Now, if we refresh this page, we have a new login page here. So we have a couple things. We have password forgotten, need help or support, and it's Dolibarr 1700. So if we just do a quick Google search on that exploit, see if we can find anything. And it looks like we do have an exploit for versions less than or equal to 17.0.0, so that's perfect. Reverse shell, PHP code injection. Let's read through this. And it looks like we need a username and a password. So I guess we can just try like some default credentials, admin, password. Nope, admin. Okay, so admin works, surprisingly. So we were able to log into this Dolibarr page with admin default credentials, and now I believe we can just use this exploit. So let's see what parameters do. Let's make sure I have everything. So target host name, username, password, which we just got, our host IP and our port, and that looks like that's all we need. All right, let's just grab this exploit and continue moving here. Oh man. All right. B nano python or exploit.py, paste that, and then python 3 exploit.py. Let's see what arguments it needs. Okay, it needs hostname, so http crm.board.htb. Username is admin, password's admin, RIP is 1010 14 148, and our port, let's say 4444. And then on this one, on our other terminal panel, I guess, we can listen on port 4444. So we're just going to be listening for any callback from our command here. And this exploit.py, if we look at it deeper, it's essentially just going to inject PHP code into the already logged in session and give us a reverse shell that way. So it's going to inject, let's see, where is it? So it's creating a session. And then with that session, it's going to, I must have missed it. Well, I'm going to be linking this POC in the description, so I encourage you guys to check it out, learn some Python here, dig into why this works. But the essential idea is it's PHP code injection. So it's using the authenticated session with admin, injecting PHP code and giving us a shell as a result. Let's see if it turns out that way. Let's see if we get our shell. And just like clockwork, we do get our shell. So to upgrade our shell, we can do, I don't like the word upgrading. I'd say it's just making it more stable. If you don't do these commands, like your shell could just randomly close and you could have a whole bunch of problems. So I would say this is stabilizing the shell. Import p2i. p2i.spawn, bin bash looks good. And then export term is equal to xterm, then control Z, STTT, raw, echo, and then bring that back to the foreground. Enter. And now we can clear the screen. Perfect. And then I'm gonna just wonder if I can just close this and be fine. Okay, I can. Lovely. I just want to bring. Oh, I just opened another one. Whoopsies. Apologies about that. Then zoom in here. Okay, lovely. So we are in as the www data user. Let's cat etc swd and grep sh. This is just I don't know what happened to my command there, but we're essentially just listing out all of the users on the box, and by grepping sh, that's essentially the users who are going to have a shell. So our other shell user is Larissa, and obviously root as well. So we have Larissa at root, and then ourselves being www data. So the next thing I like to do, we can kind of look around a little bit. We can see like index.php, see how that page worked, but there's not really much use to that. Like we can go back, sort of just enumerate all these, but instead of manually enumerating it, I kind of just want to have linpeas do it automatically. It's a lot easier, and though it's not really recommended in the real world, for sake of the boxes and for the sake of this video, linpeas is a great place to start for any beginner for privilege escalation or lateral movement. So how do we get linpeas on to the victim machine? There's a couple of ways, but the way that has been most successful for me has been just using netcat. Most boxes and most Linux machines are going to have netcat installed already, so it's just a binary that's super useful, easy to use, great tool, and it's called the Swiss Army knife of the world. So great tool. Anyway, so we're gonna listen on port 1234, and we're gonna be. I like to think of these as I'm expecting the file called linpeas.sh. What this really is it's just pipe. It's not piping, but it's outputting whatever we receive into this file, linpeas.sh. But I like to think of it as I'm receiving linpeas.sh. And then on our attacker machine, we're going to make a call to 10.10.11.11 on port 1234, and we're going to be giving, let's see if I find it, linpeas.sh, and we're giving our linpeas file. And on our victim machine, on the victim machine, make sure we start listening, then we can send it over. See connection received from RIP. We can control C to end that connection. If we do ls, we see that we have linpeas on the attacker machine. And there's a ton of different ways you can transfer files. Like you can stand up a Python server and use wget. Ton of different ways, but netcat has just been the easiest and most consistent for me, so that's how I like doing it. Moving on, let's give linpeas executable permissions. chmod plus x on linpeas.sh. And then I'm going to close this so we get a full screen on linpeas, and we just run it. All right, so while linpeas is running, I'm going to pause the video and we will come back after linpeas has had its fun. So see you guys soon. We are back. Linpeas has finished, so let's just go and scroll. Let's go all the way back up to the top and go through these. If you're a beginner, linpeas can be really intimidating at first. I remember when I first started using linpeas, I was pretty freaked out about what the heck is this cute looking P? What is he doing? And what is all this text? It was very scary. But if you walk through it section by section, looking for the red and the highlights, everything else you can sort of just tune out. It doesn't really matter. The more you run linpeas, the more you'll understand that a lot of the stuff just it says it every single time. For example, like pseudo version, it'll say that a lot. In reality, it's not going to be vulnerable a lot of the time. It's always good to try, especially if it's like below 1.8.30, but it'll say that a lot. It's just a lot of text, so you just want to scroll through and look for things that are highlighted. These Linux exploit suggesters, these are going to be here every time as well. Frankly, I found it's not really worth the time to try to go into them. It's just, you essentially just want to, the more you run it, the more you'll learn what things are default and what things are sort of out of the ordinary. So that's what we're going to be looking for here. We're going to be looking for things that are out of the ordinary. And then there is also like these writables you'll find a lot. There's going to be one section that I like paying attention to. It's the SUID, because typically linpeas is good about finding those. That and just like config files is what linpeas is pretty good at finding. And so that's what I usually pay attention to. Yeah, here's like a Debian config file. More config. So we can see like the Dolibarr config if we want, but since we're already have a shell, I don't know if it's necessary. I kind of want to just look for like the BoardLight config. SSH config. We have a database here, which is interesting. We can probably, let's note this down. I'll copy this. Let's actually cat that out and see what we can get. See if there's anything in here that's useful. So let's go back up to the top. Database port. Okay, there's no hard-coded. Nothing hard-coded. Okay, I thought that there could be some hard-coded like database credentials in here, but that appears not the case. Which is fine. All right, let's scroll back up to where we were. Where were we? Okay, SSH config. Still nothing. Okay, so yeah, this is the other section I like looking at. Files with interesting permissions. It's like SUID privesc, which essentially means, so SUID binaries are files that can run with elevated privileges. And if something is vulnerable to this, like if a file is, a SUID binary is vulnerable to this type of exploit, you can essentially just inject a command and get root, because it can run as root. The file can run as root, therefore, if a normal Joe Schmo user can run that file, the file will be running as root, and it makes it easy to escalate our privileges to that root user. And it looks like we have a couple things here. So Enlightenment is not something I'd consider default. I've never really seen Enlightenment before. So we can look for, so yeah, there's 4 Enlightenment things being tagged here, and this is something out of the ordinary. So let's search Enlightenment sys. And see if we can exploit and see if anything comes up. Privilege escalation, LPE exploit is what we want. Local privilege escalation. So let's see. Enlightenment. This is sort of just the walkthrough of how this exploit works, but the exploit itself, yeah, so it's a CVE from 2022. It going to find this SUID file, and if it doesn't find it, then it's going to exit. If it does, then it makes a directory in temp. It uses this to, use the semicolon to inject a command, and we're going to echo bin shell into that into this temporary exploit, and then we give it permissions and run it. So this looks good. This looks like we could use this. So let's nano exploit.sh paste, and then see if we just run it. We may have to give it executable permissions. Yeah, oh man, our shell is a little. There we go. So let's give chmod plus x exploit.sh, then run exploit.sh. Okay, so we are not allowed to go into the mount binary. That's okay. So we still, keep in mind, we still haven't really done much. We still have to laterally move to the other user, Larissa, on this box. So it was a good attempt, and we'll keep this in the back of our mind for when we eventually get to Larissa. But for now, let's focus on laterally moving to that other user, and then we can come back to that exploit. But it's always good to try those quick SUID privilege escalations, because frankly they are very easy. So yeah, they are very easy. This section is very nice in linpeas. I highly recommend looking at those. But let's keep looking. I want to find a config file for board. I want to see. So here's, okay. This looks good. This looks like exactly what we want. So var www, let's just cd there. Oh man, this shell is being a little weird. And then we have conf.php, conf.php.old. Let's look at the current one, conf.php. And we see we got credentials. Okay, awesome. So we have the database credentials. So Dolibarr is the name, the username, the password. So we can go into this database, Dolibarr owner, I can remember that. So if we do mysql-u Dolibarr owner -p and paste our password. Okay, never mind. It looks like we cannot. Or maybe access denied for user Dolibarr owner. Did I do the right? Okay, so apparently we cannot do that. Which space supposed to? Oh, it's not a space. I wonder if we entered the right password. The shell is being really strange today. Apologies about that. And then, yeah, it looks like our copy paste left out 2 exclamation marks. Still doesn't work, which is fine. A lot of the times with these boxes, what they'll do is they'll take the database password and they'll use it for another user. So with that idea in mind, let me just try this one more time, because this should work. Dolibarr owner Huh. That's strange. Oh well. As I was explaining though, a lot of the time with boxes, they're going to reuse passwords. So this password that we found in the configuration file can be the same as like a if they had a web page, it could be the same on the web page. And as we see here, we see another user. We see Larissa. So this other user could also use this password. Let's try that. And we can see I pasted our password here, and we are now Larissa. So I kind of want to exit out of this reverse shell and get a SSH shell, because clearly this is done. This is not looking like our formatting here is all out of whack. And I just closed the shell, which is fine. Probably for the better. Do a quick little shell restart. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. HackTheBox, easy, BoardLight. Then let's SSH Larissa at 10, 10, 11, 11. Yes. And our password. And now we are Larissa. And this is where we can find our user.text. And it's very strange to me how sometimes with these boxes, we will find like files that simply aren't ours. We SSH in this box for the first time, and I think this happens when the machine hasn't been reset in a while. Other users who played this box their files will just stay here. Because I assure you, this was not me. So, oh well. Regardless, we got our user flag. The next thing we want to do is escalate privileges. But if you remember, we have our exploit here that we can try again, because Larissa may have, like, we got stopped by not being able to mount something. So Larissa may have the necessary privileges we need to mount something. But first, let's do sudo-l, and oops, I think I might have copy pasted the code. I need that password. Uh-oh, I might not have the password. That's a blunder. This is quite the blunder. Oh well, it's fine. I believe, if I remember correctly, Larissa does not have sudo permissions on this box, so you're sort of led to the same conclusion regardless of, okay, well, we saw that Enlightenment SUID binary before, we have to use it again. So let's do that exact thing. Exploit.sh, paste in our exploit, and yeah, so now we should have mount permissions with Larissa. We chmod plus x exploit.sh, and then simply run our exploit and watch the magic. Now, oops, you're not root. And so it just shows how paying attention to your linpeas, and especially certain sections, and can be really crucial to finding the correct privesc. And keep in mind, this was an easy difficulty, so all we had to do was copy paste a few scripts and we got our root. But like I said, it goes to show proper enumeration and paying attention to linpeas is really important. If we go to root, we can find root.txt right here. So yeah, that is going to be the box. As I mentioned, I'm going to leave everything I used in this video in the description, including linpeas. If you're a beginner, I'm assuming watching this, you may not have and understand how linpeas work, so I'm going to leave all the documentation, all the links you need to continue learning in the description, because that's what it's all about. It's all about continuously learning and ensuring that something new is being ingested every day, and you can use that for your next box, for your next pen test, whatever it may be. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any feedback, please leave them in the comments below. I appreciate it immensely, and I hopefully will talk to you guys soon. Ciao.